Welcome to the story of my 2022 trip to Death Valley. As I made my way to the airport, fighting through the traffic in Atlanta, I had a head full of ideas and big plans for the way I would tell this story. You see, this is my third trip to Death Valley, and I would be arriving with a more intentional mindset, a different vision for the images and videos I wanted to create. Our lodging would also be very different for this trip, and different from any trip I'd done before. We would be traveling and camping in a Sprinter van. This would give us the freedom to go where we wanted and be closer to the places we wanted to photograph. It would also give us some peace and quiet and some much needed open space outside. Not in the van. It wasn't very open space inside the van. As we started our hike out into the desert on our first morning in the park, something in my mind changed. My desire to document this trip in video faded, and my desire to be more present in these moments came to the front. We were the only two people out in the dunes that morning. It was an incredible experience, one I won't soon forget, and one that will keep me coming back for a long time. After a campsite breakfast, we packed up and hit the road. It would be the day that we spent more time on the road than any other. We were going from the south end of the park all the way to the north and through the park on our way to Alabama Hills. Unfortunately, on the way, we started to see what we were sure was smoke from a wildfire. This is California after all. And as we got closer to the Owens Valley, we confirmed a fire near Bishop had the valley full of smoke. With burning eyes, we retreated to find a campsite in the dark, down a dark and dusty road near the Panamint Dunes. With Alabama Hills being blanketed in smoke, we reacted to the changing conditions and decided to head to Eureka Dunes. We decided to take the long way, the bumpy way, and the slow way. 114 miles took us just over 4 hours to navigate, the last 45 miles being down washboard gravel roads that shook everything in the van. It sure was nice to get to the campsite where it was peaceful and quiet. When we arrived to the campground, we enjoyed our only campfire of the trip. It was also the coldest night of the trip. The temperature dropped well below freezing, and of course, that was the night that the heater in the van decided to finally give up the ghost. After oversleeping, we had to head out into the dunes in more of a hurry than I would have liked, but it wasn't long until the biggest dunes in the park started to offer up photographic opportunities. It was a magical morning exploring the rolling curves of the dunes. Morning light in the dunes is something special. After another campsite breakfast, it was once again time to hit the road. I was determined to capture an iconic image in the Alabama Hills. With every corner we rounded on our drive, the eastern Sierra Mountains were more visible, looming over the Owens Valley dominating the landscape. Once we arrived, we set up camp and began to photograph the stars and the moonrise over Lone Peak and Mount Whitney. The next morning, to our surprise, the front row seat for the theater that is Mobius Arch was empty when we arrived. We had that granite boulder all to ourselves, for the most part. And while it might not be a unique to me image, it is iconic for a reason, and I wanted this image in my portfolio. And I learned from this experience. That makes it worth it, all the effort to get here. By now, we were very efficient at breaking down camp after shooting the morning light. So, as you guessed, we're back on the road. With no set plans, we took advantage of the flexibility that a van afforded us, and we just wandered. We scouted locations for future trips, and we really had no plans. We settled on an area that I had never been to. So, we started driving. And then we found ourselves a campsite with the most incredible view, and we had it all to ourselves. Day 6 featured a slow, lazy, and relaxing start to the day. We eventually went to wander the mud flats looking for that perfect, pristine piece of mud. The evening featured a failed trip to the most popular dunes in the park, where I felt completely uninspired. Knowing the trip was coming to a close didn't help. This trip was a big departure from my usual photography trip. It was a great experience with my friend TJ, and I enjoyed showing him the park on his first visit. Without a doubt, we will be doing this again. Next time with a lot less driving. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may the good light find you.